Welcome to the Adapted Ambitions podcast. Here we rewrite the rules of success for professional women over 40. This is the place where experience meets reinvention and where we tackle bold career moves, inspiring pivots, and strategies to help you create a career and life that you truly love. My name is Ada Offonry. I am a talent leader and career coach with years of experience partnering with professionals at pivotal career crossroads. I've seen it all, from climbing the corporate ladder to leaping off it entirely, and I'm here to help you figure out your next big move. Because let's be honest, the so-called career rules we grew up with, they're really outdated. Your experience isn't just valuable, it's actually your superpower. So I'll show you exactly how to use the superpower to create your best chapter yet. Whether you're thinking about a career change, launching your own business, or you just want more purpose and balance in your work, you're in the right place. Welcome to Adapted Ambitions. Let's dive in. Welcome to today's episode of the Adapted Ambitions podcast. Today's episode is about evolving workplace principles. I want to talk a little bit about the modern corporate workplace and some of the principles that have really kind of changed as a result of technology, societal expectations, and also employee priorities. I think people are becoming a lot more self-aware and questioning some of the norms that we took as a given in the workplace. And I think that's a good thing, right? Because it means that organizations can evolve over time. It means that we can leverage the growth of technology in advancing things in the workplace. So the obvious place to start is the evolution in flexible and remote work. Admittedly, the COVID-19 pandemic sped things up a little bit and basically showed that a lot of jobs that people go into the office to do can actually be done remotely. Previously, employees were expected to work 9 to 5 in a physical office. You had to work a 40-hour week. A lot of those expectations are so antiquated. You do not have to be 9 to 5 in a physical office. Remote work is possible. For organizations that are either struggling to sort of commit to the prospect of fully remote work, at the very least, hybrid work is now a possibility for many people. These are increasingly the norm. From a lot of the research that I've done, employees feel better about having hybrid or fully remote work models, and their mental health is improved as a result of this, and that flexibility enables them to be able to stay on top of both personal and professional responsibilities. So that's one thing that I definitely see evolving in the workplace. The second point is an increasing focus on employee well-being, particularly around areas like mental health, menopausal support. These are often areas that either weren't spoken about in the workplace or were delegated to be the responsibility of the employee. And what you're seeing increasingly is that a lot of organizations are realizing that this is an area where they could provide support to their employees. And so instead of purely focusing on productivity and performance above all else, a lot of companies are now prioritizing employee well-being, offering mental health resources, wellness programs, and support for burnout prevention. I know of a number of organizations that, provide access to, mental health days, provide wellness stipends, fitness facilities, either on-site fitness facilities or financial support towards fitness facilities, etc. So all of these things are now part of the modern workplace in a way that probably wouldn't have been the case a decade or two ago. Another change that has happened in the modern workplace is this shift from measuring the hours that people work to more results-orientated work. I think brought on by more remote and hybrid working, physical presence in an office, the number of hours worked is less important than the actual results and outputs that people are contributing to in their roles. It's a tough one because you would hope that employees are being trusted to manage their time and to deliver their outcomes, and that employees aren't taking advantage of this trust, holding up their end of the bargain. This isn't perfect, right? I think that this is an area that's definitely a work in progress. Until recently, another area that was evolving is around inclusivity and diversity in the workplace. On the back of the Black Lives Matter movement, a lot of organizations invested in diversity and inclusion experts and policies, and try to, sort of ensure that groups of people who were historically overlooked, that there were now initiatives that were integral to corporate strategies and ensure that companies were working hard to improve diverse representation and to foster inclusive cultures. There's a lot that's happened in the world that has really call that into question. A number of organizations are now sort of walking back their investment in DEI. And I think that there's something that's often not unsaid whenever I see some discourse about DEI, which is this sort of implicit assumption that DEI policies only benefit minorities or Black people or women, etc. And people don't often realize that actually by an organization working to become more diverse and more inclusive, everyone benefits. Right? Everyone benefits. I often see things on LinkedIn like companies are now pulling back from their DEI strategies so that the best person gets the job. Again, I think the implicit assumption here is that the best person for the job cannot possibly be a minority or Black person or a woman. And oftentimes when I see those kind of comments, I feel that it betrays a bias around DEI policies and the purpose of DEI policies and the outcomes of DEI policies. So I think that this is one that, isn't necessarily progressing exponentially. This is one that feels more like a bit of a roller coaster in the corporate workplace. I'd say another thing that is emerging in the workplace is the pursuit of purpose-driven work. It used to be that you had a job for life and you were lucky if the job had benefits, and you worked for as long as you could until you could retire, and that's when you got to enjoy everything. And increasingly, people aren't waiting to retirement to be free or to live the life they want to or to do the thing that they want to. They're being driven by their values, by their interests. Corporate success is now not just measured in financial terms or in terms of titles. It's now being measured in terms of fulfillment. This is on an individual level, but it's also on a corporate level as well. So increasingly, companies are embracing broader missions. So not just focusing on profitability or shareholder value, although let's not kid anybody, that is a key priority, if not the key priorities for companies, profit, and if you're a public company, shareholder value. However, increasingly, there are other measures which are coming into play, such as social impact, sustainability, purpose. And this is, if nothing, this is a really important strategic play when it comes to talent acquisition, but also when it comes to business development. There are clients who are going to care about a company's position on some of these matters. And also, increasingly, prospective employees and existing employees care about where the organization stands on these matters. So, environmental, social, and governance measures are increasingly important for companies to basically consider. CSR, corporate social responsibility programs, are another important, agenda item for companies as well. Now, one area that I have seen progressing in corporate workplaces, but I think there's still a way to go, is around flattening hierarchies. Historically, organizations were run according to hierarchies. And I won't even say historically, I think that's still in existence today, right? So if you're in an investment bank and you're a partner versus a VP, there's definitely a differential sort of attitude that goes to as the partner, right? So these things are still in existence. However, I think the rigidity around these hierarchies are melting somewhat, right? And this idea of top-down decision making, although it still exists, I think that is definitely thawing away. There are now many organizations, and this is probably something that has been driven by the tech companies, but many workplaces have now tried to adopt flatter structures so that they can encourage ideas generation from multiple people. So the best idea doesn't always come from the most senior person in the room, to encourage collaboration, faster decision making, and innovation as well. So I think having flattened hierarchies, on one end, it ensures that empowered employees are more engaged, and it hopefully contributes to less bureaucracy in the organization and ensures that there's more agility. But on the other hand, you still need some form of hierarchy. You still need some form of organization, because otherwise things just descend into utter chaos. Right. However, it'll be interesting to see how that progresses in the workplace. The other aspect that has come about in the workplace is this sort of focus on continuous learning and upskilling. Again, I think if you're somebody who is in the corporate workplace and you're not investing in your own personal development plan, you're missing a trick here, because having technical ability or having experience in your specific organization or in your specific role is one thing, but being able to develop yourself across a plethora of different areas enables you to show up as a rounder individual when you're interviewing for prospective roles, and also optimizes your chances of advancing. So learning used to be limited to formal, infrequent training or on-the-job experience. And now with the advent of social media, the internet, companies like Coursera, lifelong learning is not just a possibility and now accessible to multiple people. It is a necessity. It is especially a necessity in this day and age due to the rapid technological changes we see happening. And in order to ensure that you're future-proofing your career, in order to ensure that you're in a position where you're not caught out on the back foot in the market, you have to ensure that you are taking the time to really kind of learn about everything from technology to even softer skill areas like, presentation skills, how to improve your emotional quotient, etc. In addition to Coursera, you have LinkedIn Learning, you have multiple resources available to you at different price points. And all of these things are really important to ensure that as an individual, you're ahead of the game. The increase in technology-driven workflows. And again, this is something that has been increasing over the years, but with the advent of generative AI, that has just been multiplied many times over. So for processes that are historically manual, I think increasingly we'll see that those workflows are now being automated. Where technology adoption was slow and perhaps a high barrier to entry for some companies and for some individuals, now there are multiple digital tools, AI tools, automation tools that are available with low barriers to entry, which will only kind of help to improve efficiency, improve collaboration, and speed up decision making. So, for example, there are multiple project management tools which are AI powered now. There are chatbots for customer service. There are real-time collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams, Slack, etc. So, I think that there's a lot that is happening on that front, and that's an area that we can expect to see really exponential evolution and growth. So the next thing I see in the workplace are customizable career paths. So historically, we spoke about the proverbial career ladder, and I still speak about the career ladder today because the reality is that in some industries, there's a very clear set career path, right? For example, if you're a lawyer and you're going to a Magic Circle firm, there is a clear career path for you, right? But increasingly, people are stepping back from those rigid career paths and they're customizing their career paths. You hear different terminology around this. Some people refer to it as the career lattice. So this idea that you can step aside into an adjacent role to what you're currently doing or an adjacent career, and you don't necessarily have to go up. Some call it a squiggly career. This is the company Amazing If. They came up with the term squiggly career, which is basically that you can follow different career paths. You can follow your curiosity and do different things, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a longer linear career path. And I think that that's an exciting thing, right? So what we're likely going to see is growth of the gig economy, more remote work, more independent contractors, people having multiple careers, portfolio careers as they call them, people combining multiple careers simultaneously. And I think those are all good things, right? We're also seeing more and more people take sabbaticals, people pivot either within their existing organizations or externally into brand new companies or careers. And I think all of these things are amazing. It does mean, though, for organizations investing in internal mobility programs and cross-functional projects that allow people to be able to customize their careers within an organization. And that's a retention tool when it comes to your talent. So those are some of my thoughts around some of the sort of principles in the workplace that I feel have evolved over the last decade or so and will continue to evolve. I think it's really exciting. And I think the thing that I probably want people to take away from this is so much is happening, so much is yet to happen. If you find yourself in a place where you feel stuck, understand that part of what's contributing to that is probably you sort of looking down and being myopic about opportunities available to you. If you sort of lift up your head, you'll see that there's actually so much happening in the world today in the workplace. And it's about doing your research, first of all, to understand what's available to you, and then starting to kind of experiment a little bit to see what might work for you, and then taking some tentative steps forward. I hope you found that useful. Definitely give us a review if you've listened to this podcast and you enjoyed it. Feel free to forward the episode as well to your friends and others who you feel may benefit from it. As always, I'll be more than happy to hear your views on this episode and also on any other topics that you think I should be speaking about. Thank you very much.